Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
Actually, not from last week, but given that there will be a solar eclipse on Monday here in North America, so what is it incumbent upon the Muslim community and Muslim individuals to do given the situation of a solar eclipse?
Yes. So the solar eclipse, there's two eclipses: the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse, the kusuf and the khusuf, and it is sunnah to pray for both the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. The Arabs, like other people, were very fearful of the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. And Arabs, like others, had many superstition with respect to eclipses. One eclipse came not far from the passing away of one of the children of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ said the sun is not eclipsed for the passing of any person, but rather these are great signs from the signs of Allah. So if any of you witnesses it, they should turn to Allah in prayer and supplication and taking heed. So we have no superstitious belief regarding this. These are natural phenomena that serve as tremendous signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And anytime manifest signs of Allah are manifest, we take it as an opportunity to reflect. So the sunnah is to spend the entire time of the eclipse, from when the eclipse begins till when it sets, till when it's over. Ideally, to spend that whole time in devotion, between prayer, dua and dhikr, and tadhkir and reminder, until the sun is clear again. With the solar eclipse, it is across the board considered a recommended sunnah to gather to pray. Now, it will happen on a Monday, it's a work day, but if you are able to catch a group prayer at your local masjid, this would be praiseworthy. It is a sunnah. It's one of those things that doesn't happen very frequently. But when it does, if you are able to take the time, and in your community, if it's not arranged, then this is something that should be arranged to gather and have the eclipse prayer. Right? The Salatul Kusuf, which the Prophet ﷺ prayed and has been transmitted to us. Now, the different schools of Islamic law differed regarding it. In the Hanafi school, the Kusuf prayer is 2 rak'ahs like any other prayer, and is performed with the same form and structure. In some schools, in the Shafi'i school, it's distinct, and you can see the details if you are Shafi'i, or if you're in a Shafi'i country like Malaysia and the like, where they pray it with 2 ruku'as, and therefore 2 standings. Right? So it's distinct in form from that. And one follows the Imam in these things. Right? The Imam explains it. In the Hanafi school, it has the same structure as any other prayer. The default in the Sunnah is that the Imam recites quietly in the Kusuf prayer, according to the Hanafi school. But if the Imam raises their voice, there's no harm in it. And very often, it's certainly what my teachers in Damascus, for example, would say that most people wouldn't know what to do if they're just standing there quietly in prayer, especially if they're not reciting as well. So if one raises one's voice, لا بأس بذلك, there's no harm in that. And then one engages in collective or individual dhikr and dua, and then tadhkir and a reminder, right, regarding that, to take heed. And this is a broader sunnah that anytime there is some manifest phenomenon, right, this is an opportunity to reflect. Either a manifest phenomenon in the sense that, let's say, there are thunderstorms. One looks at these are great signs, and this is a thunderstorm, you see the power of a thunderstorm, right? You know, after the Second World War, there's the military-industrial complex decided to see what were all the non-militaristic uses for all the weapons. And you can find research related to this online. I don't know much about science, but in the 50s, the strongest nuclear bomb, they said, what if we use nuclear weapons to stop hurricanes, to bomb away hurricanes? They said, even when it starts, if you use the most powerful nuclear weapon there, it wouldn't affect the pressure front. Right? But this is nothing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not the Lord of this world. Right? Allah is Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of all the universes. Right? All the universes, not just our material universe. Just imagine how many millions of light years, etc. This is nothing. This is just this material world. And then you have this many worlds that we don't know of, etc. And all of this, all the worlds, the alameen, in comparison with the throne of divine majesty, the Prophet ﷺ used the metaphor that it's like a little ring that's cast in a big field. That's the comparison between the worlds and the divine throne. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, is exalted beyond the throne. He is the sustainer of the throne and the worlds and all beyond. Right? But it gives us a moment to reflect, right, on the greatness of Allah, but also of the potential of faith, that we have the opportunity to be of consequence in creation. Right? If you zoomed out of the earth, you wouldn't see yourself. Right? But by turning in faith and submission, you are of lasting consequence with the Creator, Lord and Sustainer of all existence. That is the opportunity that guidance gives us. So it's a point of reflection, and to reflect on the other realities, the reality of death and resurrection, etc. So this is an opportunity. Make the most of it. If one is not able to, so if one can catch pragmatically, the ulama say one considers the state of people that, for example, here at the hub, we will be holding the eclipse prayer at 2:30. We'll be keeping the prayer and the basic reminder, the basic tartib, structuring of the dhikr, dua, and reminder after, brief, so that if someone does want to take time off work, they are able to catch it and go. Right? Even if you are at work, you can pray the eclipse prayer on your own too. And you don't have to take the whole time. Right? You pray 2 rak'ahs, and then you make dua that, oh Allah, make me of those who reflect on your signs. Right? Make some tasbih, glorify Allah, make dhikr, reflect, etc. And this is something that one can do on one's own as well. Every Muslim should have some basic resources on worship, right? On worship. At a basic level, and also some works that are a little more detailed than maybe what they've studied, but that they can refer to, so when things come up, they can look at the details. But this is also these kinds of things that come up, because eclipses happen, right? They're a good test practically for us as concerned believers, that how well do I know my deen? Right? That a person of basic religious literacy is the one who knows both what is already happening to them day to day, but also who knows what can happen to them reasonably, right? So let's say you're broke, so you don't give udhiyah. You've never slaughtered for Eid, because you've always been broke. But now the believer doesn't plan to be broke all their life, but what if this year, suddenly, you have the money? You should know enough to know when you have to give it. And if you don't, right, to know it minimally and to know it properly. Right? Likewise, other contingencies that can happen. What if you ran out of water? Yes, you live at home comfortably, but what if you ran out of water? What if they cut off the water in your area? accidents happen. Forget homes. Stats Canada had a power outage for 30 hours. They lost a whole bunch of data as a result because of a loose water hose from the cooling system of their computers. And it fried a bunch of chips. They had to wait 24 hours to get chips from somewhere in the States. Right? And this is with, water. Things can happen. Pipes can be frozen in winter. Things can happen. So what if you didn't have water? How would you make wudu? What if you fell ill? People get, life events happen. And in that moment, an educated Muslim is the person who knows how to be in a state of submission to Allah, state of obedience to Allah, in the things that happen to them and in the normal contingencies that arise. Yes, you never travel. But what if suddenly you have to travel for work? What if an immediate relative is sick? Now you're traveling. Do you know how to, all that's related to purification, prayer, finding the qibla, shortening the prayer, etc. Related to that, if you don't, you got work to do, which is to learn the religion. And this is an opportunity, right? And we have ways of doing so. And those are part of taking our religion seriously. It is also, of course, important for the believer in each of these things to know the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, right? So that one can not only be in a state of acceptable submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in a state of pleasing and beloved submission, right? Because my servant, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Hadith Qudsi, which is related by Bukhari, that my servant draws near to me by nothing more beloved to me than what I have made obligatory upon them. This is the first step in one's relationship with Allah. You have no standing with Allah if you're not doing that. And my servant continues to draw close to me through supererogatory works, the nawafil, which is the extra, right, which are the sunnahs, the recommended acts, until I love them. Okay? That is the key, right, to attainment of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So take the opportunity to learn. The ulama said no one's born educated, right? But knowledge is a quality that must be acquired, and it requires a consistent commitment. But the commitment to knowledge is a commitment to expressing one's love of Allah and attaining the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.